backdrop. There we go. It's all set up. What the? Oh, that's what's going on. I don't have a backdrop for this episode, so we can use that. We will just use our little icon, I guess. Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think it's such a big deal
I got
what we use.
stuff for like Sophina of the wiki page and Honor Among Thieves. We'll use like an
Where?
Honor Among Thieves, the reviews here. This movie is actually very well reviewed.
Is it?
It has a 90% on Rotten Tomato.
Interesting. Are we live
Uh,
now?
we are.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Um, yes, we have very different opinions in this movie. You told me that you hated it with every burning passion of your fibrous being, and I told you that I thought it was God's gift to humans. I think that's exactly where we stand.
Well, I didn't say that I hated it that bad.
I could have sworn that's how how our conversation went.
Oh man, I thought this movie was just it was at best.
Well, you know what? I do have one very specific thing about this movie, and it's that I uh I think that remember the problem I had with Arcane, where I felt like I wasn't getting it because I didn't play League of Legends. I feel the opposite way about this movie. I thought all the reasons I kind of didn't like it were because I play Dungeons and Dragons. Because I know that my family who doesn't play Dungeons and Dragons but watch this movie, uh, they like it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like because we are players, we probably like see that he's supposed to be a bard, but he's not doing bard shit, and we're like, it's kind of weird.
I I have like a few issues with this movie, but I just thought I don't even know how I don't even know how I felt about it entirely. I guess like we could just kind of like try breaking like individual criterias down and kind of like bring up the points that hit us throughout the movie the best because it has been a while since I like watched this movie and so I don't.
It's been even longer for me.
Yeah,
Oh, hold on. Let me get my list out of stuff before we get into this because I try to make a list for the podcast.
my
A list of
biggest criteria I think was just or my biggest criticism was it felt like a lot of member berries.
yeah, they weren't even particularly good member berries.
They weren't. There were so many member berries. Like every couple minutes was member berries, and I am allergic to member berries.
I don't think member berries are all bad.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
I felt like I didn't like Arcane because I felt like they were member berries that I didn't get.
There, there were no member berries in Arcane. I had some problems in Arcane rewatching it because I actually ended up rewatching it, and a lot of my problems stemmed around like a some points like thematically clash with the overall like story or the themes that it was trying to like send, and there were some weak character moments or like times in the film where they had like an or in the series where they had some action scenes going on, but honestly they would have just been better off I think if they had character moments instead. But it was like so it was like a lot of the same criticisms I had when we first reviewed the first three episodes. But this was just a lot of member berries.
You're right.
Like
You're right.
I think your real quick, I do think your criticism of Arcane about member berries is like really wrong because there is nothing to get with League of Legends.
I disagree because I feel like when we reviewed it, you were all like, or past the point because we only reviewed the first three episodes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I feel like when we talked about it further, you were like, "Ooh, and this is how this is the blue-haired sniper chick," and oh my God, they're a lesbian couple now. And I was like, "Well, I don't really get any of that. I don't really think I got an
So
adequate. I feel
there,
like that maybe you wouldn't call maybe you think of member berries differently than I do, but I just my main
no,
okay, we're getting into Arcane too much, but
hold on.
my main problem with the movie is that
In League of Legends, it is literally just everyone is thrown down into an arena. You pick your character, you're thrown into an arena, and everyone just kind of fights to the death until one side wins.
yeah.
Arcane brought characterization and it brought an actual story with these characters that are in a game.
But you knew a lot. You knew a lot about who these people were before like the show started.
There
You
wasn't.
you you
No,
you
there
did.
was very little. There's very little out there about each of the characters. Like there's like a
Well, that makes it
three.
even worse, right? Because
Yeah.
I was telling you that I was watching the show and I was like, I feel like they don't do enough to introduce me to any of these characters. Like I'm supposed to care about this Echo kid.
Oh, I
Like,
didn't care. He was definitely one of the weakest parts of the show.
I mean, he had cool character design, but I don't.
He
You're
did.
right. But okay, let's get off Arcane.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So starting off about Honor Among Thieves. I
well,
don't know,
how'd you like the at least let's start with the first bit. How'd you like the first bit with Jonathan?
Jonathan.
The Jonathan bit.
The Jarna. What is that? Like the prison? I remember the
Yeah,
prison scene. Okay.
they're giving their appeal, and he tells his backstory. But every
Yeah.
10 seconds, he's like, "Where's Jonathan?" Because I feel like he
Oh
would
yeah.
love this.
Oh yeah. That scene. I thought it was like okay. It was very much like just an exposition dump, but
Yeah,
it was an exposition dump guised under like the meta commentary of like, oh, I have a D&D backstory. Here's mine.
yeah, and you know what? That was like probably the thing that gave me a because I mean I probably like it more than you do, but I also had a bad taste in my mouth about this movie, and I think just because you look at the ensemble and Chris Pine is part of it, right?
Yes.
And the part that I dislike about that is playing Dungeons and Dragons. There's no main. I mean, I always joke that you are the main character in my campaign, but or yeah, but or that Big Cat is the main character in my camp.
Whoever's
But this,
playing at the time.
yeah, whoever's playing at the moment, I'm like, yeah, you're the main character. But really, there is no main character. It's an ensemble. You're all supposed to be equally part of it.
Yeah, you're a team.
And the problem with this movie is that, well, if Chris Pine is in your movie, Chris Pine is the main character. I hate to break it to you. At the very least, he's the male lead. I don't see a thing where they and they didn't even try to like steer you away from that because from the very beginning, it's Chris Pine's backstory, and the end is Chris Pine's resolution.
Hmm.
And everyone else gets kind of a minor resolution, but really the story is about Chris Pine as the main character, and
Yeah.
I did not like that.
I mean, I think Chris Pine did fine. I didn't like his character that he was given. I really didn't like it. Much preferred Holga's character and yeah, Yendar, the paladin dude. But
I liked him a lot.
I liked Holga and Yendar. I didn't like Chris Pine or Doric at all.
I
Doric was the druid.
the druid wasn't good. I liked okay. I liked the paladin and I liked the sorcerer. So those are the only two characters I liked.
Oh yeah, the sorcerer guy. Simon.
Simon was fun,
Yeah.
but okay. So we both, which is so funny because I think I saw a lot of reviews where I think my mom told this to me when we exited the theater. She was like, "I hated that scene with that like random night guy that just showed up," and I was like, "Are you kidding me? That's like the best character."
Yes, she was like he was fine, but it was like he definitely like I liked his character, but he was very much more of a plot tool than anything else, and like just a general use of it. Like he didn't do much of anything except be an extension of Chris Pine's character and give these people somewhere to go and do.
I,
Ultimately,
I
like he had no character in and of himself outside of what he provided to everyone else.
I definitely would have preferred if there was like a different ensemble that was sort of and that was I don't like you're right. I'm just a little off put that it's supposed to be a cooperative game turned into a movie and they very clearly have a main character. But
Hmm.
I'm also a little put off because it's a five-man band
Hmm.
and like the the metaphorical big guy, or I guess he's I don't know what role he's playing in the five-man band, but he's a powerhouse. Is in it
Hmm.
for like 5 minutes, and
He was a
he's the
paladin.
best. He's the yeah he's the best character, and he goes away as soon as he comes.
Hmm.
I would have much preferred a movie with that character in it all the way.
Yeah, I would have too. I didn't.
So the directors of the movies, I think they said that they tried to make the uh, the characters in the movie sort of based on like archetypes of how D&D players play.
Hmm.
So the paladin was like the min max.
Oh, the
He's just he
powerhouse
yeah
player.
he's just the rah rah I'm badass. I take it. He's Nick basically. He's like
Would
he
would a min max player have picked a paladin though?
depends on the level because I feel like if they're just going for if they're what you don't think that you can multi-class effectively with the
You
paladin?
definitely can multi-class with paladins effectively, and they're really strong, especially in earlier levels.
Well, yeah,
But
that's my point. If you're
I'm just
multi-classing a
thinking,
paladin, you would take that level early, and then you would add
like,
on to it later.
it's very much outside of the context of the movie, but I find it funny that the min-max player picked that or their portrayal of a min-max character in the movie chose a paladin.
Well, he was very much like a basically a paladin fighter, right? I mean, he's like I'm gonna get as many hits in it as possible, and I want to ultimately be able to heal myself. That kind of like a
That
con.
Yeah, that is literally what a paladin is. Paladins do a lot of damage, they can take a lot of damage, and they can heal themselves.
Yeah, so which is funny because they're supposed to be support, but they basically just
They do everything.
they do they are supporting themselves.
I will say, in a campaign setting, if you ever need a character who's just going to do everything themselves,
Yeah,
Paladin is one of the best options.
like the paladin did for like 15 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
Just do everything himself.
It was a lot more than 15 minutes. It was like 40, but yeah.
Really? With the paladin in it? Are you sure?
Yeah, he was with their party for quite a while.
No, he was only on one mission in the Underdark.
Yeah, he was in the Underdark, but he was also like with the party in the town before it and a little bit after. Like the Underdark bit took like a good half an hour on its own.
Are you sure? I feel
Yeah,
like you're remembering that wrong. I feel like that was very short. Maybe he was in the movie for a half hour.
I would compromise half an hour. So overall, I guess if we're then judging characters, world building,
And you know
um,
what Chris Pine's player is? Chris Pine is the casual noob.
he had multi-classed two levels of nothing.
It's so funny. And so well, he did Bardic Inspiration once, but they weren't in combat. And I understand if you want to flavor your bard as not technically magical, just like really charismatic, inspiring.
Yeah,
But he literally only inspires someone when they're as far away from combat as possible. He sings one song and they're
he
in like
did
a peaceful
nothing.
village.
Yeah, like he it's nothing. So judging by the characters and world building, because I thought the world building was very strong in this series, it was mainly the character problems that I had. I would give a like a mediocre rating if I'm like judging this movie through its characters and its world building.
Well, they are just copying the D&D world building, right? I mean, a lot of it is
Basically,
member berries.
yeah.
But you're right. I do think that if you just take Wizards of the Coast world building D&D, it is some of the weakest world building possible.
Hmm.
What Wizards of the Coast, they don't do anything. Screw them.
Like yeah, well, Wizards of the Coast doesn't do much of the world building. That's they've set up templates almost for like players to then continue on, and they've given you stuff to almost fill those worlds with.
Oh, I know. Pick
So,
up the monster manual though, and you find some of the dumbest shit.
oh, I read the Monster Manual. I've also have Tomophos and a book dedicated to dragons. But yeah, it's it is what it is almost.
So I did I really liked one thing I really like about this movie is the set design.
Oh, yep. Yeah, I would agree with that. Just in general, like the set
This this
designs,
this is the highest fantasy movie that has ever been on screen. I would go out on a limb.
the like all of the cinematography, the sounds, the visual, the costumes, the set designs, all of that was really good.
And that's something that D&D sort of usually D&D is theater of the mind, but
Mhm.
always when you're describing a place, you want to throw one really random crazy shit in it. Like
Yeah,
every single town or every single area you visit is going to have one. It's going to be fairly normal, except there's a meteor sticking out of some guy's house.
hmm
So there's always like one crazy thing, and I think that translates so well to the visual medium when you're describing this like it's a little village on a hill, and it's like there's constantly rainbows
hmm
because it's raining but turning into mist before it hits the ground, something like that. And
Um,
yeah, the city looked great. The little quaint villages looked great.
yeah.
I really didn't like the Mordor place though.
Mhm.
I was really confused.
I don't remember said Mordor place. There was the Underdark.
There's the evil place. Yeah, there was an evil place.
The Underdark,
No,
or
the evil place where the sorcerers came from, the red wizards.
oh, that place.
It
That was on
it's
screen.
always weird when you just have
It was
like
like
an
on
evil.
screen for like 20 seconds.
Yeah, and it was just made up of like literally just like a bunch of towers.
Yeah,
It's always weird when like in high fantasy there's like an evil country.
yeah.
Because it's not like a normal country run by an evil government. It's just like you walk in there and you're like, oh, this is an evil place.
I've always docked points whenever like I'm judging something if you cannot show the complexity of like an evil of having just strict good versus evil.
Well, hold
Especially
on,
when like
hold
hold on.
on. Okay,
Especially when
you
your
finish.
themes especially when your themes are intended to be much more complex than just that. Like
You're right.
at its core, Tolkien's world of Lord of the Rings is just like a good versus evil story. But that is exactly what it is. It is good versus evil, and how friendship triumphs. So it will always triumph over evil. Like that, it's supposed to be thematically simple as a movie. It's just the character, the plot, the setting, and the stories and the world building that are much more complex.
But you know what? Tolkien really isn't that simple. I mean, as far as like it is a simple good versus evil story, but dude kills Gandalf in the first book. I mean, and then Gandalf comes back. But seriously,
Yeah, and
it's pretty rough.
he does get like a lot more complex too in his writing and his other stories. But
That's exactly what I was gonna ask you. How exactly is Mordor like shown to be a morally complex society?
oh, it's not. It's just an uninhabited territory that Sauron has taken over because and no one lived there because it's literally just hospitable and you can't have it the area.
Do orcs live there?
No, that's his army. He created them.
He created the orcs.
Yeah, he created
So,
the orcs of his army, or Morgoth created the orcs. Some of them ran away, and they kind of some of them lived in Mordor beforehand. Others lived in caves or underneath the world, where which that is like the bottom of Khazad-dûm, that area. Although maybe not that far deep because but that is just getting into like semantics. But basically, Sauron united them.
you're so
Said,
pedantic. So pedantic.
yeah, but basically, Sauron united the orcs and was like, "Hey, come to me, serve me. I am going to be the new Morgoth. I'm gonna make some orcs, and we're going to stay in this area of Mordor because it is easily fortif- fortifiable land, and you know, people aren't going to come here."
I on a side note, I saw a thing. I was doing the would you push the button game,
Hmm
and it's you're not gonna believe it. I thought of you instantly when I read the question. It was you get to stay in perfect mental and physical health for eternity, but in order to do this, you have to watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy every day.
Hell yeah.
and all and all of the comments were like, I don't see the downside here.
Yeah. Hold on, it's like hold on, watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy, that would definitely get tedious day after day. But like, I would love to fucking live forever.
In perfect mental and physical health.
Yeah,
And
like
plus, you can just listen to it, right? You can. I mean, I don't think it said specifically you had to sit down and absorb it every day. You can
yeah,
like
like
watch it while doing other stuff.
yeah.
I
I don't think.
It's so great. I was like, I don't think Jay would mind this at all.
um, I'd like to talk about the pacing and the general structure of the movie. How would you rate that?
I thought it was weird because it almost had like four parts.
Hmm.
You know, the breakup of it was kind of funky.
I thought it was like fine. It was like I thought it was a standard 3 act movie.
Well, it was weird because there was a lot of the acts just seemed to be composed of other pretty clear acts. Like it's a 3 act structure, but each 3 act has three very distinct acts in it. You know what I mean?
No.
Okay, whatever. But yeah, but it, I don't think the pacing was bad. I think watching a movie like this, um, I mean, again, I don't think it was like something like everything everywhere all at once, where it's fast at the right moments and slow at the right moments. I think it was just very like medium all the way through.
Yeah. It,
And
it
I
was
think
it was like your standard average kind of like this blockbuster movie that was put out, very safe in its pacing and building, very much so for like a general audience. This was a very general audience movie with a lot of member berries for the people, and that's like what I saw this film as. It didn't do anything special besides be a Dungeons and Dragons movie.
is that what we're just gonna come out off as like throughout the whole video is like, yeah, it's pretty average.
That's my perception of it.
That was just my percent. But I was pleasantly surprised because I was expecting it to suck.
Yeah, I was expecting it to suck, and I thought it was.
Well, I have the same feeling about this movie. This is like, in movie terms, this was about as good as The Last of Us was in show terms.
I
You watched
still
The
need
Last of Us yet?
I still need to watch that.
Well, it's about this, so it's tolerable, but it's not great.
See,
But
I cannot say because I haven't seen it.
you always, I like talking about things I haven't seen. I think it's pretty fun. I
Mhm.
think it's pretty fun to talk about things you haven't seen and just see if the person you're talking to realizes that you haven't seen it.
You just see how long it takes them to catch on.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, have you seen this movie?" You go, "Yeah." Well,
Um,
first of all, I think everyone does that. When someone asks them if you've seen this movie, I think everyone just like instinctively says yes.
no, I don't. I like hope people that weren't like that.
No, maybe that's just me. Maybe I suck. Yeah, but
I openly told you whenever I haven't seen a movie.
well, it's been a while, but yeah, I've seen it. You make up a story. I think it was in Orlando. It was on the TV, so I didn't really absorb it, but I've definitely seen bits of
It was playing in a nursing home and I walked past their room.
it. So yeah, I've seen it. Well, that's exactly how my mind works. I don't remember seeing every movie that I've seen, but if I remember like it on a TV, I'll say yes, even if I was just walking through a room while someone else was watching it.
Mhm.
That's how I that's how I saw the Black Widow movie.
Oh, that movie was so bad.
Well, I didn't watch it. Although I'll tell you what, my sister, my brother, my dad all watched it at different times while I was in the house, so I think I might have absorbed the whole movie by walking in and out of rooms while they were watching it.
I just remember that movie being almost laughably bad.
By the way, have you seen? There's a couple movies that I need to ask you, like newish movies. One was the movie Barbarian, that was directed by Zach Kreger. Have you seen that?
Nope.
Okay, that was pretty good. And then the movie I saw today was The Boogeyman, which is a Stephen King thing.
No, I have not. I have
Okay, that one's bad.
I have quite the list going of on my to watch movies list.
Yeah. Well, I think I had like a to watch movies list at one point, but I didn't care enough to actually watch the movies. So I had like
Um,
a whiteboard that was like, go see Jumanji 2. And then I was like, oh, what? When do I have time to go see Jumanji 2?
I do want to quickly mention because you were talking about a while back, Chris Pine's backstory and how like it was an exposition dump at the start, and he had this whole story for his character.
Oh, well, hold on.
I
Before we
didn't
get
like
into this,
I
I
didn't like
really
how
want.
any of the other characters didn't have a backstory.
Well, they kind of did. Uh, G, Michelle Rodriguez was
Yep.
married to a hobbit and then got divorced. That's a backstory. Simon is the descendant of a great wizard, but he was bad at magic. That's a backstory. The
He was
druid is
never.
an anarchist. That's a backstory.
Mhm.
Although
Anyway.
you're right, none of them had a. That's what I was talking about earlier. Okay, but before we get into this, I have a really important question I need to ask you.
Yes, really
Uh,
important.
what's better, fantasy or sci-fi?
This is a very much a personal question, right?
Oh no! I'm gonna
Because
hold your feet to the fire. You need to answer this. What's better,
hold
fantasy or
on,
sci-fi?
I'm gonna give you the best non-answer ever. They're
God
both
damn it.
tools or settings to be used in a story.
Hey, that's amazing. Oh, first of all, you agree that they're settings, right?
Yes,
Okay,
they're like a setting or like a genre.
so my good friend Gray Poupée, probably actually one of my best friends, like really close, really great friends in the
Yeah,
chat really in the chat right now. He did a debate about which was better, and the whole thing was just yeah, fantasy is the correct answer. But the whole debate was just them listing different properties and discussing whether or not they were fantasy or sci-fi. Which was and I was very angry. I was very upset that they were calling them genres, and I was like punching my keyboard, like yelling, "They're settings, not genres."
I prefer me personally. I prefer fantasy as
Oh, that's the right answer. Here we
as
go.
I think sci-fi tends to go off the rails a lot.
Well, here's the thing. I have a question. Dungeons and Dragons, is it fantasy or is it sci-fi?
It's neither. It's the setting that you choose it to be.
There we go. Good for you. It's weird because it's obviously got magic. It's obviously got dragons, but it's also got like warforged and artificers, which might be magic but might not be magic.
It's got settings for like futuristic or like different. Maybe you can do stuff in space. You got like say like steampunk themed stuff, or there is so many different settings or like types of campaigns that you can run with Dungeons and Dragons. And fantasy is just like the common default one that people like to go to, and that people
Okay,
are.
and now I have a separate question for you. Can you define fantasy and sci-fi?
Um,
Because Gray has a very like loose definition of sci-fi, or a very loose definition of fantasy, and a very strict definition of sci-fi. So
well,
so they
sci-fi,
would throw out a property and they'd be like, oh, Star Wars, and you'd be like, that's fantasy right there.
it's it's just science fiction though. Like sci-fi is just a science-based fiction.
Well,
I can't even really say if there is a strict definition for either of them.
well,
Like,
well okay, well that's the thing, right? There must be, because we kind of know what each other are talking about generally when we say sci-fi and fantasy, right?
mhm.
So we say so, but the question is, how based in science does sci-fi have to be until it becomes fantasy when it gets too out there?
Fantastical is like fantasy is about like fantastical storytelling. A lot of things are like made up, like a lot of imagining, or where like things are kind of like of normal things that like won't happen or can't happen in real life.
Okay,
So
so like,
myths and legends almost.
well,
But
that's right, that's right. So I mean, but so I just think that fantasy is a setting in the world where mystical forces play a large part,
yeah, it's the fantastical like myths and legends.
and
Yeah,
sci-fi is a setting where advanced technology plays a large part. So
it's
if it
it's scientific fiction.
so again, yeah, and then sci fantasy would be Star Wars, which the Force plays a large part. That's mystical, but also technology plays a large part.
Like I would say Star Wars is just as much fantasy as it is sci-fi.
Okay, fair enough. So we're yeah.
Like absolutely. I don't think like people say like Star Wars is a sci-fi. I'm like it's more of like a fantasy and a drama than anything else.
By the way, can you scroll up on the chat isn't appearing on the show or
Mm.
the live stream. Like you know how it's supposed to scroll up on the side.
It is. It is there.
No, no, I mean on the video itself.
On the video. What?
You have the chat on the right hand side of the.
Yeah, but my Streamlabs, it's there.
Interesting.
Oh, it had to
There
update.
you go. There you
So,
go.
that might be a problem throughout this podcast because I usually had Streamlabs pulled up on my second monitor. My second monitor is broken right now,
Oh,
and I'm trying to get it fixed. So I'm doing
you
this on one screen. So Streamlabs is probably in
just
the back.
like the just like the rest of us.
Yeah, Streamlabs is in the background. It is not going to be updating or refreshing.
So, by the way, I got into like a we did this thing. I don't know if you actually watched it, but so we've been doing these panels, and there was this one guy in like the chat who was just annoying the hell out of me. We were
Mhm.
doing is it has how much has Jordan Peterson fallen off?
Can we get back onto the Honor Among Thieves?
Well, I just want to say this, okay? This guy was his name was something Fawful, and he's an asshole.
Okay,
That's
cool.
all I wanted to say.
Okay, cool.
I appreciate how much you don't care.
As soon as you said Jordan Peterson, I'm just like, can we not bring irrelevance into the chat?
I was just saying. I was just bringing up that I was on a thing, and I there was this guy who's an asshole, and his name is something Fawful, and I dislike him strongly.
My disfavorite part, my least favorite part, Honor Among Thieves, was Safina.
The druid, the druid.
No, the
Who's
evil.
Safina? Oh,
The
okay, yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. She was ugly. I agree.
no, she was. Wait, that is the IMDb page, but whatever. Um, yeah, she was very disappointing in like every way. She was built up to be cool and to be this actual threat, and then she just wasn't. So throughout the movie, when I was watching this, I was like pointing out like,
Yeah, well,
to
I mean, she's a wizard, right? So she had
yeah,
like 3 HP.
look at this spell, look at that spell, and
Did she even cast a single fireball?
no, she cast a fire bolt.
Imagine imagine being a high level wizard casting a firebolt when you could use meteor storm.
She did use meteor storm.
Yeah, but that was like weak, like once meteor storm.
No,
You're
no,
supposed to use.
hold on. It wasn't even a meteor storm. So I was really confused when she cast Meteor Swarm in the movie because Meteor Swarm has a 40-foot radius.
Yeah,
Um, I thought she cast Firestorm with only four firebolts because those firebolts were pretty small. Like one of them took out a statue and that was it. And Firestorm has 10 meter. It's like a 10 by 10 square. It's like a bunch of 10 by 10 squares. Meteor Swarm is just four meteors of a 40-foot radius. And it's like because she just called them down and they all just went off into left and right field. And they just stood there and avoided all of them.
Well,
These, it was
it,
like, wow.
they do kind of have to do that because like
She's a
if
high.
they well, if they did actual Dungeons and Dragons rules and they got hit by a meteor, the barbarian would walk out like totally fine, and then the sorcerer would be like just insta dead.
Exactly. This was my problem with the fight, is that they had, at minimum, a actually, a level 19. Yeah. She had to be a level 19 because she had two ninth level spells. So, in Meteor Swarm and Time Stop. So she was minimum level 19. And a level 19 wizard would have ended that combat in one turn if they were, like, decent.
If they were just if they
Yeah.
would just cast two meteor storms like a normal person.
No, 'cause she cast Time Stop. Which is like fine. She cast Meteor Swarm.
Oh, time stop! Look at me! I'm gonna use a utility spell. Look at how creative I am when I could just throw fireballs.
I liked when she used Misty Step, but did you see the moment where they like threw the rock at her and she dropped concentration on her anime objects?
That's fun though, right? That's like how wizards are.
I was like, somebody forgot to take Warcaster.
I think they did probably think of that when they were writing the movie. They were like,
How do she has an anime objects? How the fuck do we stop her? And it's like, well,
drop concentration.
have her
You know,
lose concentration from a fucking rock being thrown at her.
that's a well. It's so funny because remember the when you guys fought the Grand Wizard and you beat him in one move.
Yeah,
And then afterwards, you were like, "Yeah, just so you know, when you're doing a wizard, you generally want like other guys there to take the damage while he casts the spells."
yeah.
It's weird that like an entire movie studio made the same mistake I did for my grand battle. By the way, I did I tried to fix that mistake in like the most recent big boss battle, and then you just made everybody leave.
Oh,
Remember, remember that you were like, I'm gonna intimidate them so everybody else leaves.
to be fair though, that took a lot more creativity and effort to like set up that encounter though in my favor than like me just making the other wizard do a strength saving throw.
Yeah. I should start making you use gemstone dust more. It's
um, she used Finger of Death in the movie, which was like, what the fuck?
what is Finger of Death?
It's like you have to touch the person and it does damage to them. It's a
Huh.
seventh level necromancy spell. I don't know why she like took Finger of Death instead of like mental prison or something better. What if she took like Wall of Force or there's much there are fourth level spells that I would take over Finger of Death at seventh level
It's a
because
fourth level spell.
no, it's a seventh level spell. Finger of Death is a you have to physically touch the person and you get to do damage to them.
Is it a lot of damage though?
It is a lot of damage.
So it's basically for assassinations.
Yeah, but she also could have had delayed fireball.
Delayed fireball? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Delayed fireball is a spell of where it's like you cast a fireball, but you can delay the explosion, and the more you delay it, the more damage it does.
That's so funny. Wait, so you can, but it's at you throw the fireball at a location.
Yeah,
Do people see the fireball when you throw it?
I've never used the spell, but yeah, I assume.
That's unfortunate. But so you can you like drop the fireball in somebody's pocket and then like walk away and then wait 6 days?
Well, there's a limit on how long before it goes off. It's like
Uh,
4 turns. I've never actually used that spell. It's mediocre at best, but it does a lot of damage.
Yeah, but 4 turns. That's what is that? That's
It's a sixth level spell, and I just pulled
24 seconds. You can throw a fireball at someone, and you have 24 seconds to get away, so nobody knows it was you.
I don't know the exact amount of time, but I just pulled four turns out of my ass.
Maybe it's 4 minutes.
Um, it would have been a lot cooler to see like I think if like they had Sophina maybe cast like a polymorph or like what if she
Ugh,
used like a true
polymorph.
what if she used like a true polymorph or something for them to fight?
Turn Simon into a chicken. That's how people use polymorphs. They just turn their enemies into small animals.
Yeah, pretty much.
That'd be funny.
I mean, what's the difference between using a third level spell slot to turn someone into a chicken and remove them from combat, or use a second level spell slot to effectively remove somebody from combat?
What's a second level spell slot?
Yeah, but um, polymorph is like a third level spell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, if you've got a third level spell, you might as well just cast fireball.
Yeah, or yeah, basically.
Like you're trying to heal your teammate. Fireball.
But yeah, that whole chase scene with the deer where she could have like, she's like there.
How many times? Wait, how many times did she wild shape in that chase scene?
There was a whole
'Cause
bunch.
it seemed like too much. It seemed like too
There's
much.
a wild shape among us. And like she cast a witch bolt. It's like they used witch bolt. Really. You got something that's the whatever it's called, the wild shape is trying to get away from you, and your first instinct was to use witch bolt.
What's the witch bolt do?
It's just a bolt of damage.
Oh yeah, so it's just like a magic missile, basically.
Yes, but worse.
Worse than a magic missile?
Yeah, because a magic missile hits.
Oh, 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 of course.
Witch bolt is like you can hit the target and then you can like use your action to do damage to them.
That's so stupid.
Witch
That's
bolt is very
Wait,
like
so was she a warlock or was she a wizard?
she was a wizard.
It's so weird that she had that warlock aesthetic, though.
Yeah. I thought it was really funny when she had them in a time stop and she's like, "You don't know the true extent of my power." And I'm like, "Well, as a level 19 wizard, I really don't." But you haven't
Because
shown
you're not
jack
showing
shit.
it.
Yeah, you haven't done jack shit.
You're right. Dungeon Dragon shows how powerful spellcasters would be in real life, but they because they put all these restrictions on like things you can do. But
Yeah.
imagine in like real life where you don't have like all these mage bullets you have to conserve. You're
She
like
chain lightning.
the best spell in the world, even better than Fireball. My favorite spell.
Chain lightning is yeah, it's a good spell.
I like that. That was my favorite member berry. I was like, ooh, I almost killed Gabe with that once.
It was level 3.
Yeah, yeah, and he shouldn't have been snooping around the bottom of boats.
Or
I'm
else
pretty
it
sure.
comes
I'm pretty
out.
sure I'm pretty sure my NBC brought him there actually.
Your NPC just brought him to the bottom of a boat and they cast chain lightning on him at level 3.
No, a different NPC cost chain lightning. Don't be absurd.
Dude, it was.
I had to kill those two paladins. Are you kidding me? Two paladins on your side in a fight? No way. No, thank you.
Anyway. So overall, I think I will keep this movie at like a 6 out of 10.
Uh, well, okay, I would call it a 7.5. But
Really?
you also have to remember that me and you have different rating standards.
Yeah.
I usually rate higher than you because in my philosophy is do you remember what my philosophy is? Please restate what my philosophy is about movie ratings.
It's like a bell curve.
Yeah,
For you.
close. Well, but for me, things get worse than they get good. Like the things get badder than they get good, if you know what I
Hmm.
mean. Like a 1 is not like the bad equivalent of a 10. The 1 is a bad equivalent of like a 20. Like a masterpiece of film is only so good, but a bad film can be like literal torture for 3 hours.
Like for me, it's like to get on. It's really hard to get on either extreme end of the scale for me.
Are you
Like
sure? Because I took a video once of like a weird mole I had on my foot, and I feel like that's pretty close to 1.
yeah, and The Last Jedi was a 2. So I think my system is holding up pretty well here.
You're right. You're right. My you would almost rather watch my video I sent to the doctor of the growth on my small pinky toe than
I never saw that, but okay.
than the Last Jedi, which was awful.
Captain Marvel was a 3 for me.
Did you ever watch that show Beef that we were gonna review?
I did. I
Oh, you
really
did?
liked. I liked it.
You want to talk about it for a sec?
Yeah,
Because
we
we
can
we
talk
kind of
about.
we kind of yeah.
Um,
I definitely thought it was better than I thought it was gonna be.
yeah, it was really good. They had a cool, like, nice, almost like a little gimmick that they were doing. They stuck to it, stayed true to their characters. They showed the effects of how, like, internal, like, selfishness and how, like, holding resentment towards other people can affect more people around you, and like how that can kind of carry on to people that you may not wish ill upon. Um, my
I,
yeah, it was really good.
so I really liked the movie, but I'm gonna be honest. Uh, Ali Wong is not a good actress. She plays the female lead.
Okay,
She's a funny stand-up comedian, but she is not a good actress.
I didn't think
And
she was like offensively bad.
no, but you're watching it, and who plays it's Stephen Yeun, I think, who is Glenn in The Walking Dead, who's the male lead. He's
Hmm.
really good, and Ali's husband was really great. So there's a lot of like really great actors, and then the guy that played like the gangster cousin
Yeah,
was amazing. I
I
thought he
was
was awesome.
really sad when he didn't die in the police shootout. Like, did
Yeah,
you
I
think
don't know. I
he
don't know.
entered the police shootout and
Yeah,
got out alive
the
when all
redhead the redhead died, but he didn't.
all of his goon friends died except him, and it just made me think like, what the like. So the show is very much afraid of killing off any main characters.
Well, it's so funny. It's so funny that it's sort of like when Batman throws the thug off a 5-story building, but when he gets to the Penguin, he's like, "No, you got to go to trial." He's like, "I don't kill people." I'm like, "You don't kill named people."
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was, right? Because like the goons, they died for whatever reason. They thought that the main bad guy wasn't. They had to keep him alive. Well, but
Yeah.
you know what? They did kill the billionaire lady. They killed her in an elevator.
Yeah, but she
One of my.
wasn't a main character. She was like a
You're
tertiary character.
you're right.
The
Uh,
cousin was like secondary.
you're right. You know who I did like? I really liked the Edwin guy, the guy who was jealous of the male lead.
Yeah.
He's like the church band guy. He
Yeah.
was really great when he wasn't talking. Do you know what I mean by that? Did you notice that at all?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
he, he when he's like when he so what his name is Edwin. The main character, his name is Danny. So Danny's like flirting with his old girlfriend, who's this guy, who's Edwin's wife, and he does like a really great subtly jealous. Like
Mhm.
he's standing next to her, not saying anything, and projecting like a very subtle emotion that anybody in the moment would feel. But as soon as he says words, he ruins it. He's a really amazing like standing in the background character.
Ah.
He's really great when he's reacting to other people acting.
Okay. I'll take your word for it because I
Okay.
do not remember any of that.
I would have thought that somebody would have. I thought other people would have noticed that when watching it, but maybe not.
People, you guys should check out Beef on Netflix. It's not amazing, but it's really good. I gave it. It's good. I give it like a seven, 7.5.
I gave it like a 7.9. But it's so funny that just like these days we're like you gotta watch this movie. It's not that great. But
It's worth the
it's
watch. For
it's
me,
the
if I recommend it, it's worth the watch.
it's we live in this time where everything is so bad that if something is like, okay, I don't regret watching that, you're like, yeah, yeah, that's like the best thing on right now.
Like the Mario movie.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Like people say that are saying like it's amazing. It's good. It's like
Listen, I don't
it's a
I
perfectly
know
good
that.
movie. It's nothing great.
Do you think that with the show The Last of Us and the Mario Bros movie that and then the Uncharted movie that came out like a couple years ago or a year and a half ago, do you think that the video game movies are the new thing? And the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that's about to come out?
I hope not.
You're right. Well, if they turn out like The Last of Us and they just sort of open up the video game for a wider audience, I think it's fine. But what I'm really worried about is Halo.
The Halo movie that was reminded me of the Halo show.
It scares me that
Why
uh,
did you remind me of that?
I'll tell you why I reminded you of that because I actually appealed our Everything Everywhere All at Once thing that got taken down, and we were talking about how much we hated Halo in that, and I
Was so bad.
oh
I
he
don't
took it he took his helmet off and I was pissed. Oh, I was so angry.
I don't think that we had anything good to say about the Halo show.
I think no, I think you were angry. I think I was depressed. You were like a kid. You were like they desecrated my boy, and I was like, oh my god, they showed his face and he was ugly.
It was unbelievably bad.
Yeah, but also The Last of Us, not that bad. I mean, not good by any stretch of the imagination, but not that bad. So, I definitely think that video game movies are coming. I think there's gonna be a big wave of them.
A big reason why I think like video game movies are almost like destined to fail before production is because you're losing the element of interactivity that a video game provides.
Well, you know what? That is true for like Mario because Mario is fundamentally about the gameplay. The story is very secondary.
Yeah.
A lot of games are about the story. Like imagine making an Elden Ring movie.
Yeah, but those
Like
are also like really boring video games
no, The
often.
Last of Us.
If you took like any of those quick time event story driven games and try to make them into movies, like I guess it might work. But
No, no,
like
like the
those aren't
the
good games that you're adapting.
hold
And
on,
you
no,
can't adapt Elden
hold
Ring.
on, hold on, hold on. Games where there's equal amounts story and gameplay. So obviously not like
Skyrim. Skyrim.
no, I'm talking about The Last of Us. The Last of Us adapted pretty okay. You could Uncharted adapted pretty okay. Did you watch the Uncharted movie?
No, I did not, and I've not played Uncharted.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say it adapted pretty okay.
It's on my
I would
Steam wish list.
um the Tomb Raider movies have always done really well. I mean, I don't think anybody thought they were great, but they were like fun action movies.
The Resident Evil movies.
Okay. You're right. Now we're just being pedantic.
The Resident Evil movies are god awful,
Awfully
but
pedantic.
they are also fun.
That wasn't a joke I was making for you. I was making that for Gray if he's still here. He's probably not.
Well,
The pedantic. You don't get it. You're not part of the club.
um,
You're
we've
not
been
part of the
going
group.
now for
Almost an hour.
yeah. You
Yeah,
want to wrap it up here?
yeah. We've talked about two things. I think it's good. Do you have anything you want to do for next week?
Um, let's do a full review of an
Go for
elephant standing still.
Okay, Gray seems to think the Resident Evil movies were amazing.
Dude, they are, especially with alcohol.
Dude, they're doing a. I was at my movie. The opening credits for the. Guess what movie was like my movie theaters replaying for like a one-time thing.
What?
The worst movie of all time. You know what it is?
What?
The movie that you told me the worst movie. The movie that you've told me. Yes, they're doing a room replay at my local.
Dude, go watch that.
I guess I'll need to.
Dude, that is.
Are they
The Room is almost painful to watch. If
okay?
you
But
enjoy watching it, you're a bit sadistic.
my question is, is my movie theater like in on the joke that people, it's a classic because of how bad it is, or do
Bro,
they think that it's like a popular movie?
I don't think you can possibly interpret that movie as good.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like going to an art show and being like, wow, this is really deep.
like you've seen Zombie Beaver, right?
No, oh no.
Oh, never mind then.
You
It's
know what
like
I saw it recently. Coke Bear. Have you seen that with Tim
that's
Bear?
on the top of my to watch list.
No, don't watch it. Okay, dude, the bear is barely in it.
Oh no.
Remember how you watched Godzilla and there just wasn't enough Godzilla in it?
Oh yeah, there was 15 minutes of total Godzilla fighting monsters time.
Okay, I swear to God, if this next Godzilla movie isn't like there should be no human dialogue in this next Godzilla movie.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
it should
Only
be
Godzilla.
it,
Like
it,
the
it, should, it, should- it should be Godzilla and Kong shaking hands. Kong hops on Godzilla's back, and they ride against this like skinny Attack on Titan monkey.
that was basically what the old Godzilla movies were. Was that there were these old puppeted like fight movies between
Yeah,
Godzilla and whatever his foe would be.
and they were
Great.
chads.
They were great movies.
Dude, are you kidding? Just two guys in furry costumes beating the crap out of each other? Oh my god. What an awesome time.
I have always thought that next week I do want to cover An Elephant Standing Still because
Absolutely.
I've always thought of it almost as like a hidden personal gem for me, like a movie that nobody else has really ever seen but is artistically very well put together.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll
By the
cover
way,
that.
there was a Sitch and Adam recently, and Sitch brought up that his mom didn't like Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I threw my PlayStation remote at the TV. I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?"
How do you not like that movie?
I apparently she didn't like the trophy scene.
The butt scene.
Well, okay. It's so funny listening to Sitch talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once because he just way over intellectualizes it.
Hmm.
He was like, well, it's a very creative movie where there are these parallel universes where you have infinite amounts of skills and abilities, but in order to find these skills, to unlock them, you need to do this sort of calculation in your head to find the least likely move you would make in that very moment and make it. So therefore, sticking a trophy up your butt is actually a very logical decision. It's logically illogical. And I was like, Jesus, Sitch, shut up.
Like
And he was like, for whatever reason, my mom found it distasteful.
the directors just wanted to stick in some blatantly random humor and have it be explainable and work in the film.
You know what?
And
That
they
movie,
created with an arbitrary
I
system that
think,
it could happen.
we gush over that movie uh, every episode, but just because it's such a recent movie that is just so amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
And it was a movie that beat Disney on opening week.
good for them. I love that.
That is why I give it praise so much, is because it is the movie that beat Disney.
And guess what? Ben Shapiro comes out and he says, "Oh, this is just woke propaganda. Oh, there's a lesbian in it, therefore it's garbage."
And then Disney went out and blamed Everything Everywhere All at Once for their bad box office performing when it came out.
What movie was Disney running at
I
that
think it
time? Do you
was
remember?
the Eternals. I think it was Eternals.
Oh my God! You run garbage against gold, and you surprise people buy the gold. Are you kidding me? That's so crazy. That's like you're selling what's the worst candy bar? Uh,
um,
Heath. You're selling Heath
um,
next to uh uh just like
Reese's.
yeah, next to Reese's. No, it's not even like that. You're selling singular Tootsie Rolls against filet mignons or against like a beautifully cooked prime rib for the
You
same
have
pr-
a
for the
McDonald's.
same price. They're both $20.
It's
So
like you got
we have a
a McDonald's in the middle of your Applebee's.
It's so good. You're like, sir, why don't you want to try our fries? And you're like, are you kidding me? Oh.
I would love to see someone draw that up.
There's the Hannafords
Mhm.
in where is it?
Be careful.
Portland, Portland,
Okay.
Portland, Maine. The Hannafords in Portland, Maine that I deliver to has an Aroma Joe's smack dab in the middle of the store. Not even like a Target or a Market Basket or Walmart would like near the front of the store, where like
Mhm.
most places have like those extra places.
Mhm.
This is in the middle of the like sandwich between the Mexican and the toothpaste is an Aroma Joe's.
Wow.
I know,
Is it one of
amazing.
those? Hold on, is it one of those tiny Aroma Joe's buildings, or is it just like a counter?
No, it's a it's a building. It's walled in.
They took one of those like tiny Aroma Joe's buildings that you see all over the
Well,
place, and they just
well,
dropped it in the middle.
it has a roof. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm remembering this wrong. I mean, but you know how like market like supermarket like ceilings are so high.
Yeah.
This thing is completely enclosed in, so it must have a roof. So
So
it's
good.
literally like an Aroma Joe's. You're doing some shopping and you're like, I'd like a $25 Red Bull. I mean, they sell them for cheaper in the store, but I'll stop here.
Well, I think this is a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll
And
watch everything everywhere all at once. We should do or not that an elephant standing still. We should do a watch party for that
we
because I
should.
feel like I think you should want to introduce that to a lot of people.
That could be cool.
Yeah,
Um,
they were
I,
doing a
I definitely want to watch it with you.
yeah, absolutely, and you can explain what's happening to me.
I don't think you need to explain what's happening, but it's
Even my favorite like properties, I kind of wish that someone was there explaining it. I like having someone that I can look over and be like, okay, who the hell's that?
okay.
Because I remember I just like straight up the first time I watched Game of Thrones, I just missed Roose Bolton entirely.
Okay.
He betrays the Starks, and they're like, look at this big moment, and it's very sad. But I'm like, also, who was I supposed to know that guy?
Fair.
Am I supposed to know these people?
Yeah, fair.
But
So
yeah.
we'll see everyone next time, and we wish everyone a good time, good day, good Pride Month, and
Oh, it's Pride Month. Wait, before you end,
yeah.
I just want to say, I'm sorry for the sins that my ancestors have committed upon your
God
ancestors,
damn it, Pavic.
the gay ancestors.
God damn it.
I'm
We,
very impressed.
we support LGBT.
I support you, Jay, during this important month for your people.